I still can't hear you, Charles. Let's see if I've got mine turned down. All right, I'm up halfway. If you come on, you're going to be blaring.
Okay, how's that? You hear
There
me
you go. Now I got you. Now I got you. Let me turn you down a little bit now.
now?
All right, here comes Mike.
Hey,
Hey, Brennan. Hey, Mike.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, how's everybody,
Brennan,
how's
how are
everybody
you?
doing?
all right. So, Charles, you had no audio on YouTube at all.
Yeah, well, hopefully people can read lips.
He didn't have any here till a second ago either, so he's all right now. Should be
Okay.
all right now.
I say the same thing every time anyway, so it's only the new people that are like, what kind of show is this?
We've been wondering
Right.
the same thing for a long time now.
Well, I'm here and I got a few chores to do, so I'm going to turn my mic off and just listen to you guys while I do dishes and finish up my chores that my wife told me I have to do.
Fantastic,
Well,
Mike.
good to see you, Mike.
Thanks for listening. I appreciate it.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to go back and give you a like too, Charles. I forgot to do that. Let me go back and
I
do
did that too.
Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you. Even though you guys know me, you guys still give me likes. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
we did.
Sometimes it's tough, but you know.
All right. So, what's everybody be doing? What's everybody been doing? Anybody doing any flying? Building? Oh, I wish I was doing that.
Yeah, I'm trying to finish that humbug. I'm painting it.
Very good.
It's I'm trying to get the thing finished. I don't know why this thing won't let go of this free video, but anyway, I'll try again later. That thing's, oh Lord. Anyway, it won't let go of this other video. Yeah, I've got the humbug painted. I've got all the colors on it. Now I've got to put the borders stripes on it and then clear coat it. And I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to put my AMA numbers and the name humbug on it or just let it go. And when I show you all the plane, hopefully next week, you'll be able to understand why. I always put them where you can read it big on the wing, but this particular airplane looks so cool the way it is. I'm about to decide maybe just leave it like it is for the time being, or it will be from then on, but put the AMA numbers in the corner or on the flap or something in Ghost. It actually doesn't have flaps. They're just drawn in, but it's just a fun little airplane, and it's been so much fun to fool with. I don't understand. It's a plane I started out to do just a quick throw together. It's one of Tom Dixon's quick built kits, he calls it, and I bought a foam wing and covered it myself and did it with the gold. What was that stuff called? It's not Zap, but anyway, instant glue. And just a quick built wing and the standard control system in it. And then put the thing all together. And oh boy, it's when you got the fuselage and then post out here and a post out here, it looks like a combat ship with a fuselage in the middle. You end up having to cut the fuselage apart and put it on the wing half and then half, but you also have to cut the tail off because you actually build it like a combat wing and then put the fuselage on it. It don't just look like it was built that way. That's actually the way it's built. And it's a challenge.
Huh.
So I
can't remember the humbug. The name is so familiar, but I can't visualize the plane.
It was Bob Barron. Bob Barron is the one that did the one that I have. Now the original was Wild Bill Netspan.
Yeah.
But Netspan and Bob Hunt had one on the other week. He had the profile version of my plane, the electrified. Mine is an OS, supposed to be an OS 32, but I've got an OS 25 SF in it. And this SF belches fire, man. I think it's going to have plenty of power. If it don't, the 32 sitting there.
All
and
right.
the Air Tiger 36 is the same bolt pattern, same size, everything, all built, everything fits. So one way or another, we will have this thing flying here shortly.
Oh, great.
But anyway, it's a neat looking little airplane. we'll get that one done, and then I got one Mike gave me to finish, and I've got 8 others. So one of those is a half a Pinto too. So Pinto 2, if any of you don't know, is a Pinto with a little bit thicker wing.
Okay.
Half a Pinto with a thicker wing, and that's all it is. It's about, I don't know how much thicker it is, but it's a little bit thicker wing than the stock Pinto. And I'm really in question as to does a TD-049 have enough guts to pull this thing? But we'll see.
Yeah.
It's a cute little airplane, but there's a lot of wood there. It's getting big. It's getting big for half A.
Now Pintos, they're also a bigger size Pinto than half A, right?
I don't know. I know there's 2, and I understand there's an 09 or a 15 size.
Oh,
I never saw it. They all look like little Orientals.
Okay.
It looks like a little bitty Oriental, and I had an Oriental years ago and enjoyed that plane a lot. It was the best flying plane I'd had to date, and it got away from me at the it's not VSC, but East Coast Golden Oldies down in Tifton, Georgia, and I lost it down there, and I've always wanted to build another one. So one of these days I'm going to, but I haven't done it yet. There's Gary.
Hello.
Hello, Gary. How are you? So one of these days I'll build another one. But for right now, I'm going to settle for a Pinto, a little bitty version of it. It's not that little. It's not that little bitty. It's got about I don't know how big the wingspan is. I've forgotten. I think it's 30 inches, but I can't remember. It's plenty.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I don't really have too many small planes that actually fly. I have some small planes in my garage, but I haven't. I had them purpose for my kids, but my kids have lost interest. And one of those things.
Well, see, Huntersville has a day every year. It's usually in October, what I understand. I have never made it to it, but I have seen pictures of it for the last 2 years. And there's Big John. I've seen pictures of it, and it looks like a lot of fun. And you know me, if it's fun, I want in. So I built a Pinto so I can go down and join in and have a little fun. And, of course, I couldn't settle for doing it like the one in the picture. I couldn't stand to have the motor just hanging out there in the wind. I had to put it with a muffler on it and then cowl it in, and I overcomplicate everything. Hey, Denny. But anyway, it should be a cool little airplane when I finish it. But right now, I've kind of set it aside to finish the Humongous and then the Ombre because, hey, Nats is coming. I got to get my plane finished.
Yes.
Danny, good to see you, buddy. Can you hear us?
Everybody.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Hey,
Danny.
good evening. Good evening. We hear you. I understand I did a lip sync type of monologue.
Yeah.
My audio wasn't on. But there was no sound. My lips were moving, but nothing was coming out. So we'll see if we get a lot more likes that way.
Oh, Lord. What are we going to do with him? He's almost as crazy as I am, and that's not.
You know how you can tell when a moderator's lying?
His lips are moving?
You know how to tell when a moderator's lying?
No.
Yeah.
When his lips are moving? Oh.
That's it. That's the moderator.
What's lips are moving?
Hey, Peter, and hey, Denny, and John. Hey, Gary.
Hey.
Hey, Phil.
Yes, sir.
Remember your tiny little what's it called, box cutting knife?
Yes, sir.
I got one too.
Right.
It's a tiny little Stanley.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I knew I'd find it sooner or later.
I saw a set for sale. It had the little one you have, Phil.
And a big one.
And then it has the bigger version of the same thing.
Yeah, well, that's the bigger version is what I carried for about 20 years, 20, 30 years. And everybody remembered that knife. And when I retired, I had several people. It's funny, I can't get YouTube to let go of that daggum promotion that's on there. It won't come off. Anyway, when I retired, the guys got me, one of the guys bought a new knife just to get this little knife. And 2 of the guys wanted those knives, wanted my knife. So one of them that I trained, I went ahead and gave him my knife. And then the other fella that bought one gave the other fella a knife. So now 5 of the guys got knives just like I had. It's weird. It's just a little craftsman knife. But you know, everybody assumed Sears is going out of business. There won't be any more Sears, but any more craftsmen. But guess what? Lowe's picked them up. But it's just a tiny little knife, but it's wood. I mean, it's got wood inlays in it and all. But it's a cute little booger. I've got another one of the big ones somewhere I had misplaced and I found, and now I've misplaced it again.
Yeah, I have absolutely no clue what you would really use this for, other than just a conversation piece. But
Well, I was in the mail with it.
I wouldn't have no idea where to get the blades for it, though.
Same place. You get them at Sears or at
You get it at any good hardware store. Those are actually drywall knives.
Yeah.
They're the one that he has. That's
Yeah. They work great. They work great. I always call them box cut knives because I worked my way through college in a corrugated box plant, and we had to have these. Only we had one, a big version. I've still got it. It's out in the console of my pickup, in fact. A big version of what you had there, so you can slide it up real quick, cut something over, and close it. But I use this for opening the mail, and I actually got you guys are going to love this if you remember the saga of my motors. I actually got to use this Wednesday to open my motors. They finally got here. They have traveled. We got to looking, and they have officially traveled farther within the United States than they've traveled to get here from Austria.
Wow.
Figure that one out. So they've been all over the country about 3 times.
Does anybody have one of those Swiss Army knives with the real big fat one with like every blade and accessory and stuff on it?
I've got one upstairs. My daughter bought me in Switzerland, and I have a Swiss Army watch that she bought me in Switzerland. We sent her to Europe, and she brought me back a watch and a knife. I can't remember what she brought my wife, a watch and something. I can't remember. Oh, that's cute. Yeah, I like that.
That's pretty
I like
cool.
Gadgets.
Yeah, the only thing is, it's got so much stuff
that's
packed
about
it's useless.
Yeah, it's got so much stuff on it, you can't carry it.
That's got about 4 or 5 different blades in it. That's a cute little thing.
Yeah.
And it's got a Phillips head screwdriver. It doesn't. The thing I liked about my Swiss Army knife, when I'd be at a party, I'd be the only guy that had a corkscrew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most popular guy at the party.
I'll show this off. My wife got me this several years ago, and it's a bracelet that's got sockets on there.
Yeah.
Got screwdriver ports.
Wow.
Got Allen wrench.
Wow.
Allen wrench heads.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a
I
knife.
for about $45. I think they usually come about 150. It's a Leatherman. But I'll tell you what, I've gotten so many compliments on this thing, but it's also come in handy when I need a random screwdriver, things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Cool.
That's very
Pretty
convenient. So you always have a screwdriver on you no matter what. Or
Yeah,
now.
it is so practical that
Be handy
it's
to
one of the
have
best things I've ever gotten.
Yeah.
Be handy for brass knuckles, too.
Yeah, you never know. I work in a prison, so yeah, thank you. Thank you for that tip.
I worked in a prison, too. So I understand what you're talking about.
I'll give you
Here's my mail opener.
Yeah. That
Wow.
That thing's serious.
What did you do?
Yeah.
It's actually a carabiner.
I like
Exactly
that
what?
little airplane though.
But that really opens the mail in a hurry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look, a lot of things in a hurry if
It's
it's sharp.
terrified. It's terrified to stay closed.
I mean that.
It doesn't stay closed. It has its own sheath.
Hey, Jim, how you doing this evening?
Hey, doing good. How are you, Charles?
Hey,
Doing well.
Ryan's
Night, Ryan.
good to see you, Tryon.
Yeah, it's Ryan.
Good to see you too, guys.
Man, beat
And hi, Howard. How you doing, Howard?
Howard.
Yeah, Howard Rush.
Yeah.
Where'd Howard go?
I saw him.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, I had my microphone.
Yeah, he's over there behind that piece of fuselage you see there.
No, I'm on the
Oh,
other side
okay.
of the camera now. I'll go back.
And Mark Rubin's coming in.
I should have known when somebody's got that nice a shop, it's got to be his. That many tool slots. I'd love to have that plan bench.
Hey, Mark.
Plan holder. Hey, Mark. We got it,
He's
Darren's
got
one, and
he's
he's
got those
one.
things, and he got them. Yeah.
we used to have that had all the traffic signal in it.
Hey, look at there.
All the intersection boxes in them, but I mean, plans in them. But I never got one of them. I wanted one, never got one. Good to see you, Mark. You looking better.
Did you go?
Mike's doing KP.
Thank you.
Good deal.
Did you go through the operation yet?
Not yet. It's coming up this Wednesday.
Oh,
This Wednesday.
That's why you're still
all
smiling.
the excitement.
Oh, brother.
Exactly. Yeah.
The way
I'm sure you can't wait. You have you're giddy with excitement.
Are you changing to something or?
it's
Having a knee replacement, aren't you?
I wouldn't call it transgendering to a new knee. What would you call it?
Oh, I got a couple of those things. You'll like them.
Let's hope they don't hurt as bad as the old ones. Whew. Mark, we can't hear you. What'd you do?
Can't hear you, Mark.
No, still can't hear you.
Unmute your mic. You must have pushed the button. You're getting like me. You like to push the button.
I gotta give me a drink.
Uh-oh.
You push the button.
Yeah, he pushed the button.
Hey, Howard.
Yeah.
So Howard, what you doing there, man? I'm curious. Show us.
I'm just stuffing the cracks in this airplane.
Okay.
I like where it comes apart. That's different.
Why did you take it apart there?
All apart.
Huh?
It comes apart in many pieces.
Why did you make it take apart over there? I mean, just how do you take the controls off or put them back on?
Well, the back end comes off too. I'll show you.
Mm-hmm.
What are you and Paul Walker in a contest? See who can take them apart in the most pieces and put them back together?
Yeah, I just want to know are the pieces interchangeable?
Yeah, I think Tran's got you beat, but wow.
I always want to learn from everything.
Me too.
Same here.
There's always a better mousetrap. Are you got sound now?
I don't know. Let me see.
Yep. And you're working.
You got it. You're working.
Okay, great.
All right. We're going to learn something from the master here.
Master Howard.
That's about it.
Howard, you can't say nothing. I heard from Paul Walker that you were the one that did the cows for B-17. He gave you credit for doing those. Those were crazy light.
Let me make you big, Phil, so that people can, I mean, not you, Phil, but Howard.
No.
You trying to show us how it goes together, Howard?
Gosh, that's neat.
You going to show us how it goes together, or you going to do a demo?
Well,
you don't have to.
let's take it apart.
That's fine.
Here's the fuselage joint. It's like so, and there are 3 screws that hold it together. It's in shear. That's
Howard, we couldn't see anything but your toolbox.
You can't.
No, we're looking at a box of pins, it looks like.
Box of pins?
Yeah, it's like it's frozen.
All right, well.
Nah, it's moving for me.
It's moving.
It's moving to me also.
It's moving, but
You're just
the
not in the
camera's
center of
pointed
the
too
camera.
far down to see.
There you go. There you go. Now
There you're getting it.
I'll prop this up. That's what I can do with the pin.
Go back to standard.
Okay. So you see this? This is the forward part. Yatsenko's take apart pin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, okay.
Wow.
Like so. And there are 3 screws that hold it together.
Uh-huh.
Look at that.
What about the push rod?
Well, the push rod, Well, control horns here. So
Well, that's kind of obvious on the backside, but what about through the fuselage to the other side?
Push rod goes in here and attaches right here. There's a ball joint, and I'll just put a jam nut on the threaded rod, so it screws the ball joint right out. I can stick the back end on.
So you just screw it in and until it bottoms out, right?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
So I said you are just screwing it in until you bottom out on a jam nut.
Yes.
Okay. So that's how you ensure that it's in the same spot every time.
I hope so.
Cool. Okay.
Very nice. Thank you for showing us that.
I like.
Wow, that's neat.
And obviously the tail is the classical way.
Yeah.
Like stuff that everybody does.
Tail's held on by 4.
Yeah.
250.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like mine. I think I had 3. Mine's by the original plans. I think it's 3, but whatever.
Yeah, he's increased the number over the years. And this holds on the after side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that looks familiar.
Captive in there.
I like the shape of that rudder.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I looked at this Bill Natsavin's video that was on Sparky's site a while back, and he was talking about having a low aspect ratio vertical stabilizer so the thing wouldn't stall because it was a low lifter. So that's a good idea. So I tried that. It's kind of Igor-ish.
Cool. Cool. Very nice, Howard.
That is nice.
Very nice.
Beautiful woodwork.
Thank you for showing us that.
Yeah, you see
And,
the panel now.
and it looks like the wings, you just plug it in and you have the registering on a dowel pins, right?
Yes. And the screws go into, these are threaded.
So they go straight in, right?
There's the thing in the wing. It's
and the screws.
The screw go in these ducts here.
Oh, I see. Just
yeah.
Pull it through the duct.
Nice.
Just that's the way the first take apart system that I ever saw. It's from the John Benzing. God rest in peace. It was in 1996 when he came up with a Russian bought plane take apart.
Oh, I thought the Russians always joined theirs in here. This is
no, that wasn't they call it like the crude kind of setup.
No.
This one, and then the shear came later on, or the pros were using the shear.
No.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with this one.
This is the Tom Morris system, but his has problems with the glue joint. So this is with one piece things going through the center, so that it doesn't come unglued.
Yeah.
The same idea.
Yeah. Cool, man.
That is neat. Very neat.
Jim, what you breaking there?
Oh, I just muted you, Jim. You're going to have to unmute your mic. I can't unmute you.
Just when the sand had stopped.
All right.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Charles?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm good.
Hey, Dan, thanks for coming in.
Thanks,
Good
Howard.
to see you, Dan.
So, Jim,
Hey,
what
Dan.
you breaking?
Hi.
Jim, what are you making?
Show and tell. Come on. Whoop
Me?
it out.
Yeah,
Whip it out.
I am. I have to turn this around.
Uh-huh.
Let me
All right.
find. Let me
No, we
find my
wanna-
picture.
We want to see the plane, not you.
All right. I know you want to see the plane. But,
You're breaking the picture right now. So you
Alright.
want to see the plane.
The plane,
Forget you.
the plane.
there's a critic in every
The
crowd.
plane, the plane.
Oh, no critics here.
No.
Okay, so let's see if I can get the plane in here.
All right.
I gotta find my picture first.
Well, trust me, you're lower than that. You're on the ceiling.
I'm on the. ci-
It was good before. We could see the plane. Then we saw you, which got worse. And now we see the ceiling. I mean, we can't get any worse than that.
You see the ceiling.
Exactly. I can see a ceiling light. Where you at?
I'm
Well,
I'm trying to find my picture.
I'm trying to find you too.
So I can tell what the hell I'm looking at.
Depends on what sites you go on the internet.
That'd be a pause.
Well, while he's trying to figure his camera out, Trey, and where do you get your ESCs? Directly from Igor?
Yeah, we got him directly from Igor. Actually, Mark McKinney got him from him and gave me one.
I got to try to get in touch with him and get one.
Yeah.
I've heard from several people the Spin 66 is not as fast as his, so I want to get one of his.
Probably should be fine.
Too weird. Okay. You guys are killing me.
Yeah.
Good.
We're killing you very slowly now. Very slowly.
It might take us 20, 30 years. We want to learn all your secrets.
See, you're
here. Keep going the same way.
Ah.
See, you're
Yeah,
here.
keep going.
Okay, so we move from the ceiling to the garage door. It gets better.
Okay.
This is more better.
Let's go. Here it comes.
Hey,
there he is.
There you
Hey.
Well, I can't.
Keep going.
Oh, a little
Now
more.
we see the edge of the table. Now we see
There it is. We have a plane of
It's a
here.
tracer.
Oh no, did you build another tracer?
I got one after this too.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay. It's hilarious.
Lower
Okay.
to the left.
You gotta understand, brother. You come in here for a little fun and fellowship. What do you get? Made fun of and talked down to.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay, there we go. Now we can see it.
Yeah,
Yes,
that looks
there
good.
it is.
Okay, so what it is I'm working up here in the front. I just glued my cowl on underneath the bottom.
Yeah.
So I've got some superfill in where the cowl comes in. And of course, I guess if I got really close, I might be able to do even better.
Okay.
Okay, so you
Now
can
you
see.
got it.
All right. Now this is when we first started on. Trey talked me into doing front mounts, which I'm sure that's really the way we want to go. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you can see right here's a piece of steel that's embedded, and here's a piece of steel that's embedded.
There you
And
go.
then on my cowl, you can see.
You have the magnets.
Oh, don't worry, it'll sand out.
There's already one Butterfinger. There's already one Butterfinger in the crowd. We don't need a second.
Okay, and then it has a pin right here.
Oh, look at that.
Which aligns with this hole right here, and at the front. There we go.
You have a pin there too.
I have a pin in the front, and so the pin in the front just slides right in like so. I find the hole.
Hey.
And it just snaps right in place.
Pretty solid. That's a backwards NACA inlet.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I got a little one in the front, a big one in the back to carry the air across here. And of course, this is a top mount. Inside of here is where you load your battery right here.
Oh, that's good.
And then, yeah, it makes life easy.
Yeah.
Now, the only bad thing is when you have a rear mount motor, you got to go through all kind of machinations to get the stupid thing to. Let me try to get another view for you. All right.
Well, I kept trying to figure out what those two things were. They're cooling holes.
Yeah,
in the bottom. That's
yeah,
cool.
big ones. So let me get down here lower. Let's see if I can show this to you. So it was a pretty good idea, but it's a little over-engineered.
I'm famous for that.
Well, Trayan made me these rails, which are just to cast me out for your battery. I'll show them to you here in a second. Let me see if I can see what I got. Okay, where's the plane?
Left and up.
Left and up.
But I think it's reverse, right? When you do the camera, it's like being inside the cockpit.
Well, this is
coming towards you.
Yeah, well, jeez.
It is kind of tricky.
There it is. Okay, I've seen it. Well, I don't know. I haven't figured it out or whatever, but I can't make the camera reverse when I'm in here on my iPad. Or at least I just haven't figured it out enough yet. Okay, so
never mind. Weird.
So right in here, let's see if I can. I gotta get lower. Man, all right, let's get lower. I'll show you how it was gonna work.
Lower.
How low can you go?
Low. Very low.
That's pretty low. I'll be able to see that.
Yep.
Okay,
you got more air going in there.
This is my cowl shape I went with. It's one of my simpler ones that I usually do. I usually have to do something fancy, but this one is okay. Let me see if I can get it to where you can see down the hole. That was the object.
It's got lots of cooling. See?
Oh, it's got cooling out the yin yang.
Yeah.
It has a. Here, I'll put a light on it.
It's not the yin yang, it's the inlet.
Yeah. But can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, you got a lot of room.
So the motor mounts on this stuff here. It's a composite, and it has to have a couple little 1/2-inch extenders. The new one I'm building now with a couple of Bob Hunt wings is going to have. Yeah, I'm cheating. I'm doing foam for the next one. It'll have a little shorter nose because Dave built his is done, and he was having a little trouble having to add tail weight, which of course is better. But I took a rocket tube right here.
Oh yeah.
And that carries the air back into the battery compartment, and down into the speed control sits all the way at the bottom, right behind the firewall. But to show you the difference, these are the rails that Trayan built me. Let me find myself again. Okay.
I see you.
Yeah. I just gotta figure out where these things are. I'll just stick them in the front.
There they are.
Okay. So these are carbon reinforced. He just uses a piece of angle iron to set these up.
Oh.
And these just set in here like this. And they run all the way back. And you just put a couple little blocks underneath that you glue the fuselage side, and you can slide your battery back and forth.
Yep.
And I don't know, do you put a stop in yours, Trayan?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so so that way you can. Now this is what we came up with. It uses carbon fiber tube, and it has these little mounts on the front end. That is too weird. And these go down and they sit into a trough right here. And there's 2 holes in this back former that the back end goes in. And then you just have 2 little screws that screw this down. And that way, if you ever want to, you can see it has a couple little relief places right here. That way you can just go down there, take those 2 little screws out, pop this out, and that'll give you access to your ESC.
Oh.
Okay. So it works all right, but it's a little over-engineered. Like I said.
A little?
A little. Now,
isn't that half the fun of it?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Now,
I'm familiar
inside.
with over-engineering.
Yeah, you're familiar with that, right, Howard? So one of the things I did is I wanted to get air all the way around this thing. Let me get my light back on. So I have this little plate. You see where the rocket tube is mounted? That's at a 45-degree angle. So half the air goes underneath, which goes straight into the ESC, and half the air gets deflected up, which I was hoping. I'm using one of those cut-up true-turn spinners with the air comes in, because I don't have any ring around it or anything like that. So just an attempt, and those 2 holes you saw in the back, those are actually rocket tubes as well. They're acrylic rocket tubes. And I cut the round holes, glued those 2 together, and that's a lot of area. But of course, I have a lot of cowl opening. And I have opening with the NACS stuff up top. I don't know how that's going to work. Having because I have 2 of them. I have one little small one in the front, and then the bigger one I reversed into the back, so it acts like a scoop underneath to pull the air along the top of it. So again, it's highly over-engineered.
I think it looks great. That's the way they did on the 6970 Shelby GT350 and 500. It worked for them.
Yeah, it'll be. I'm sure it'll work okay. Dave doesn't really. His isn't quite as good for the cooling. But once I get a front mount in there, it's gonna. I know how to do those now. Trayan told me that when you mount it to the plate, you only put the holes the same size as the 3 holes or 4 holes, however many holes your motor has in the front.
3 holes.
So yeah, so that the air just goes, it can only go through there, and so it cools the motor.
Yeah.
But we're not hitting real high temperatures on the motor, nothing on the battery really. So anyway, that's what I'm doing, and I've just got my little
Jim.
foam. Yeah.
Just going to say, I don't think the word isn't over-engineered. It's anything worth doing is worth overdoing. Moderation is for monks.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, moderation is for monks. Don't worry. So don't worry about what you got there.
Better more than not enough.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm working on the shape of the cowl. It's nice and thin, and I've got some stuff inside I'm smoothing. I've already got some resin on it. So I'm just get everything smoothed out, looking good, and then it'll be ready. And it doesn't have far to go to be ready to go.
No, it looks good.
My tail wheel, I'll show you a good idea on a tail wheel. I don't have I could have put a removable tail wheel, but they don't really get in my way, so I just leave them the way they are. Now, one thing you can do with magnets that we've done on our tail wheels is, you see we have a magnet in the back right here. And what we do on the other side, because let me tell you, if you put a magnet on the other side or another piece of steel, you know, it's round, and good luck getting that sucker off of there. All right. So what we do is we put a little piece of plywood in the back, and we run a screw head in there, and you can adjust the screw so that you can adjust how much pressure, how close it is to the magnet. If you want the full Monty, you know, you just let it touch the magnet. It'll still be very hard to get off. But that was an excellent way to do it. We just have a little lip in the front to actually
see that.
And that just slides underneath, and then this just pops in, the back just pops down, and the tension is adjustable. So I thought about doing that on the top hatch. I may have to think about that, but I think it'll get in the way of the battery, so I probably won't.
No, I actually like the way you did the top hatch. It's a very nice way of doing it. Usually, if it blows, hatches like that will blow out, is because the front is going to catch some air underneath it, and it's going to flip over, you know.
Yeah,
but because you put a pin in the front and a magnet on the back, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, I've used that little pin for ages, and I've never had a cowl. Usually the cowl's on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But just for ease on me, not having to flip this thing over every time I wanted to do something, load a battery, you put your hatch up top, and that way all you gotta do is walk up to it, bloop, plop your battery in there, and you're good to go.
Yep.
So it's okay. But I don't have a whole lot more to do. I have to do a little final sanding on the rest of the plane, fill in a few little dings. I showed you the picture where I had all the damage on this wing over here, where my brother-in-law stepped through it accidentally. So I'll get that flattened out, and then the only thing I actually still have to build is I do have to put I use that little tool I showed you. This is an elevator, and I'll run that one. I want a very sharp edge on the trailing edge, and the same thing on the flaps. These are styrofoam flaps that we cut, and this one had a little damage still to repair. Let's see. Yeah, so I got to fix that one. And then on the end, I'll draw those two lines, the center line, and then I'll put a line on each side with that tool. And that way I can bring those down where they're nice and straight all the way down. So that's about it. I'm working on
I have a question,
my...
Jim.
Yeah.
On the top cover,
I
saw like a translucent kind of a curve. How'd you do that translucent? What is that material?
You talking about this?
Yes.
Okay. If you go to Hobby King, you can buy a pack. What do they call them, Howard? NACA, right? Something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can buy a pack of different sizes of these.
Oh, yeah?
This is the big one. Okay. Then they make a medium one, which is this one. And then they make a really little tiny one. And they all come in a little set. You know, it's a couple bucks or whatever it is.
Cool.
And
save you a lot of time making them.
Heck yeah, and they look beautiful. You know, I've got some stuff to be able to paint plastic, some adhesion promoter that I'll use a little. No, they don't weigh anything. They're thin.
Oh, cool.
You can see how thick they are, Howard. Let me get it in there. Yeah. Can you see that?
Okay. Now do you paint that, or do you dye it? What do you do?
No, I'll just put adhesion promoter on it and just paint it just like everything else.
Okay.
So now one of the things I had to do, Wayne had a good idea how he's going to do his, but I'd already screwed mine up. So I had to think on the fly. He doesn't have all this rigmarole in the back yet. So all he's going to do when he puts his on is he's just going to have a finger hole as an outlet. And so he'll just be able to put his finger right back there where it'll just be kind of a round hole. He can just slip his finger underneath there and just lift it right up. I couldn't really
finger.
Yeah, well, I also got some hardwood down there, some plywood and stuff. So I had to punt and come up with some other way I could do it reliably without tearing it up. And so what I did is I took 2 pieces of it's probably like medium weight fiberglass cloth.
Yep.
And I just ran it side to side, filled it with resin. And that way, when I put my finger in, I have lots of strength down there. And I'll grab it from the back, too, to get it just to move a little bit. And then it'll just come right off. So it's not a problem.
Very nice. Thanks for answering my question. I appreciate that.
No problem.
So well done on that, Jim. Great job.
Let's see. I don't know. Here's
well,
I made my NACA duct. I made this thing and then vacuum bagged some carbon over it. It was tedious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, compared to going to Hobby Lobby, right?
Hobby King.
Hobby King.
Yeah.
And it's called NAC?
NACA.
NACA. You know what that stands for?
Committee for Aeronautics.
I know it's supposed to be the most efficient way to get air in and out. I guess they use it on. Isn't that right, Howard?
Yeah.
It gives you a real.
Yeah.
Gives you a real smooth transition of air.
Yeah, you see it on full-scale airplanes all over the place.
Yeah, now I don't know
NACA.
I don't know how it works when you reverse one, but I guess I'm gonna find out.
You'll find out.
Yeah. Is that a good sound or a bad sound, Howard?
Well, just put a tuft on it and go flat and see whether the air goes in or out.
Yeah, well, it's got to go out, I would think, with all that air coming in inside.
That's what I did. I had a hole in the bottom of the airplane, and I didn't know which way the air went, so I put a tuft on it and found out.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I can do that. I'll put a little. It's gonna be kind of hard chasing that thing around, but I guess as soon as it starts up, you'll know.
Howard?
Yeah.
The question here on his little NACA opening there. If he took that on the one that's reversed, if he took and made the leading edge of that aft one, or the part towards the front, he'd raise that up a little bit to create that wing effect. Wouldn't that give him more of a negative pressure in that area to help pull that air out?
I don't know.
I don't either. I was asking you because I thought you knew.
Looks like you think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, you're the chief over engineer.
Well,
Chief over here.
It's kind of like an overlord, huh?
Yeah.
I'd say as long as it doesn't whistle, you're all right.
Oh, okay.
Whistle is good.
Oh, I like whistle.
Yeah.
Remember I've got kids? Go ahead.
I've got a 3D engineering rotational engineering stunt that I need to have, or I'd like to have Howard take a look at it. It's in a control horns, and because I'm convinced that it'll work, but it'll be sloppy. The one its design is from 1947. So I think the guy that drew the plans knew a little bit about aircraft and aircraft engineering, but it's a wing, like a Horton wing, on with a pusher engine on it. And I can bring it up here so you can see it if you want to see it, Howard.
Oh,
Give me some thoughts, okay?
Yeah, cool.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
It's been 38 years since I've had a garage with that much room in it.
Yeah, I got lucky here. I just put everything is on wheels.
Yeah, that's good.
So I just push everything back, and I can bring both my cars in here. That is cool, John.
Yeah, it's not my design. This goes clear back to 1947.
I can't see it.
You can't see it yet?
No, but
there's the side view on it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's an ignition, yeah, okay.
And
That's an Aero Mighty Midget.
Yeah. And it's uses a 9.8 pusher prop.
Yeah.
Anyway, but you see here how he's giving up and down control to the flap from the bell crank. It's a linkage like here that's.
Yeah, it's almost like an L crank.
Yeah, you see this one for the outboard tip, it comes all the way across and joins here halfway between two. The problem is with these horns, they're gonna be following the plane perpendicular to the hinge line.
Yeah.
So that means as it goes in, this one's going to move in, which is going to put a side load on this one. That's probably why he's got this link in here, but I don't know.
Yeah, how does that work?
I don't know, and I'm looking at it thinking, gee whiz, I may want to move this bell crank in a little closer. I got to realize that there's got to be a fuel tank or gas tank in here or something.
Use a lucky box?
Yeah.
But going to lucky boxes, because but that would make if I put the long arm back right about this area, that would mean that I'd have to come in from here. Anyway, I'm going to have to run one long link as it is, because I don't think right here behind the engine I can put the horns for the elevators. Can you see it at all, Howard?
No, I'm sorry, I can't. I can. Yeah, I just get a blank for your screen. Oh,
I'm sorry.
No,
That's strange.
That's Jim's thing.
Well, this is very similar to that wing. This is a 163 Comet, and this one's very easy to see. This is the bell crank, and it mounts down here, and then it has a control arm that, let's see if I can, I don't know if you can see that or not. Let me get over here. Okay. It has a L crank mounted right next to the bell crank that has a, well, it's just a ball link, but then it goes to a L crank. Hard for me to see it, so I can show you stuff. But at any rate, there's a wire right here, and this L crank has a easy connector on it, and it has a wire that runs down the wings like this. And then because this was foam and it was just fun scale, here you can see the wire coming out, and it mounts to another L crank, which goes to your aileron. Let me get it over there. See the L crank?
Yeah.
And then this goes to your horn on your elevons. And that worked really good. I mean, you have a little more slop in a system like that, but I've used it plenty of times on radio control ships and never had any trouble. And so I wanted to try it on this one, because this one, it's hard to figure out a good way to do these. So that's what I came up with, and it worked just fine. Let me see if I can.
That's basically a Horton style wing. Horton was the German fellow that designed it, and that's a route that I hadn't considered going, and I'm sure it would work. I'm thinking though of using lucky boxes and trying to work it, with the least amount of parts to keep it simple, stupid. Approach.
This is not the simplest thing in the world. I'll try to get you another view here where you can see exactly how it goes, or at least close to how it goes. My L crank, that's there. There.
Yeah, what I'm showing on my screen is the original drawing from the magazine, or from the, I believe it was the magazine. I believe it was a full, it wasn't a full-size drawing. But anyway, the date on it's October 1947. So it was right after the war. And I think by some of the things that I've seen in trying to redraw these plans a little bit, is the guy that drew them knew what he was doing, but he wasn't a really good draftsman, because there's a lot of things that are that don't line up properly.
Yeah.
Well, he calls a 10-inch wide root, and at where the tip goes on, he's got a 5-inch. So that's the ratio, but he's got 30-degree. Let's see what you got going there.
Okay, you got to get in the picture. I was trying to show you kind of how it went. I'm aiming the light at the wrong place. Where are you at?
So the bell crank just runs the L crank.
The bell crank runs the L crank.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get. Oh, there it is. I think that's it.
Now I'm seeing your pitot tube on that wing.
Okay.
You got to go back towards your face.
Back up one step. Now you're
There.
about right. That's right.
Can
Now
you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That gets too much light for us. We're getting a light wash out.
That's better like that.
Okay. So you got your bell crank. I had to make a special one for this one because it's such a little airplane. But it just basically, you mount your bell crank, then you have a horn that runs back to an L crank. And then the L crank, on the other end of it, you have an easy connector, and then you have one solid straight wire that runs underneath and comes out. Let me see if I can.
That's fine right there.
So you can see the L crank right here, and it just goes up and hooks into the elevator. And of course, I wasn't trying to bury all this, but you could bury it all inside. I mean, I've done that with plenty of radio control ones.
Like I said, that is a workable solution. That was different than what I was thinking about, but it is a workable solution. I'll have to look at it and try playing with it a little bit. But I thought, because I know Howard is good at three-dimensional geometry for that he would have it, one of those brilliant answers that you expect from a Boeing engineer.
Yeah, that's a tricky one there. Because I don't know how you're gonna. Yeah. Well, basically, it's a bell crank tower, and it has a push rod coming out. That I'm not sure exactly where that push rod's going.
Well, look at the wing center section. You see the long wire, the one that is going to first, comes from the outboard wingtip. Goes clear across through the fuselage. And then
I see. Okay.
Then this clip here, that is a flexible one because these are going to be going weird. This is going to be going this direction. This is going to be going this direction.
Yeah.
You got to have that link in there to be flexible enough to take that up. Like I say, the guy knew what he was doing, but it's different.
Yeah. I don't know about that one though. It's just when you start moving that bell crank, depending on, I mean, you can see he doesn't really have much of an arm at all.
No. That's a 2.5-inch bell crank, and it's a very,
Yeah, man, that might be 3/4 of an inch.
It's gonna be quick.
Actually, the problem is that geometry, I would think, John.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be quick, Phil, because that is a very short moment arm, and so it's like detuning the bell crank, so it's going to be slower.
Okay.
But
the horn won't move, the push rod won't move as far.
Right. But I'm thinking that with the sweep, Horton's brilliance in his design was that sweep. Notice he's got 30-degree on the on the leading edge, and that sweep was part of the stabilizing for the flying wing. It put the wing, much of the wing way behind the CG.
Oh yeah,
acted like a tail.
Yep. And your lead outs actually have to come out in front of the wing by quite a bit.
Well, yeah, that's where he's got him right there, and the AC that is right about here on each wing, where my little hand thing is.
Yeah.
It's right about there on each side. So it's just a little bit behind the AC. Anyway, That's what I've been pulling what's left of my hair out with. I've started this thing 3 different times. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it depends what you want to do with it, John. I mean, I can tell you my little Comet, it's a pretty close to scale model.
Yeah.
And I can loop that thing. I can fly it upside down. I haven't tried any 8s or anything.
How much
but of
throw
course,
are you getting on your Elevon?
well, they're really short, but I don't know what I'm getting right now because I'm changing it a little bit. But I'm trying to cut it down some. But I was probably getting, at a minimum, I was getting 30 degrees.
Oh, that's plenty.
Yeah, it got there in a hurry. It got there in a hurry.
Well, what this is, so you know, I'm doing this under a contract for a fella, and I have a suspicion he may be wanting to fly it in old time stunt, and it is different. You know, there's no doubt about it. But I don't know. He may just want to fly it in sport. I don't know. But I wanted to try to give him a good shot at having it work right with the control system.
I mean, yeah, I'm not sure I'd go that route because it's just there's 2 angles, man. That just and one of them has to flex. If you do the L crank,
both of them have to flex.
Yeah, which I ain't too crazy about that idea.
Yeah,
but if you use the L cranks like I used on the other one, basically you have a rod, kind of like what he has running down where the spar is. You have a wire, and I just buried it in a nylon, and inside the wing. And then, so because I had to, I just filled it in with glue. I cut out to lay it down right at surface level. And then, but that wire is straight everything is straight, 90-degree stuff. So it's very reliable and it's very consistent. And I would just be afraid with that setup there that you might run into something with the control system was binding or something. But
yeah, that's what I'm concerned about. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the L crank though, now are you just driving that rod you got going down the wing? You just driving it back and forth then?
Yeah. Yeah. Back and forth.
The L crank here, but so it's. I'm trying to.
The L cranks reverse on each wing.
That's what I was getting to. They'd have to.
They have to reverse. But that's no problem. You got the same size L crank, and so you're getting the same ratio.
Right.
And I mean, they used to fly pattern planes and stuff like that with this L crank system.
Yep.
So I don't think that would be a problem.
Well, you've given me some things to think about. Now, you're familiar with lucky boxes, aren't you?
Yeah. You use one on everything.
Right. I'm going to look between those two and see which way to go. I appreciate your input there.
Yeah. I mean, you could do that. You could put a lucky box and, cut that, make a stationary section a little closer to the fuselage on each side. And then on your Elevons, you could mount your lucky box. But again, that you have to be careful. That's tricky because, that trailing edge ain't going straight, so
that's right.
You might have to take like a lucky box and make it wider so it doesn't just barely grab that rod real tight. So more of that.
No, it'd have to be wider.
Well, I'm thinking it might have to, it may need to be able to go side to side just a little bit as it rotates.
Oh, absolutely. I lay them out, look like I'm looking right back up the back and then rotate them. Quite frankly, if it was to be parallel to the hinge line, it wouldn't have to be quite so wide, but it would still have to be wide.
Yeah, it still has to be pretty wide. I mean, myself, I would probably, if it was mine, I would probably, you know, because it looked like it was fairly, well, deep enough where you could run that wire underneath your tank.
Yeah, because this, let me get up to the other part of the drawing here. The motor mounts are right up here. The tank is right up here. The problem is that where your tank is where your horn would be.
Yeah.
So, you know, so
yeah, that's a problem.
That's a problem.
If you only have a small wire that's running underneath the tank, that is one thin wing, boy. That thing, to stunt that thing, you're gonna have to be going some kind of fast.
It's a NACA or N65A at 11%.
Okay. Hey, now.
But you got to realize the when you put the flaps on it, the Nobler was 14%.
Yeah, right. Well, the one thing that if you're giving this to somebody who's gonna be flying at a competition, make sure you give them a warning about pushers, props, because a pusher prop. I'm missing part of one of my thumbs because of a pusher prop. Because in a normal tractor configuration, you know, sometimes when we reach around and adjust the needle valve or whatever, you might touch the prop and it just kicks your hand out. You know, you won't really cut yourself unless you put your whole hand in there. But a pusher prop is entirely different. It is like a flying razor blade. And if you even barely touch it, it's taking whatever meat is in that slice off.
Yeah.
And that's what it did to my thumb.
Yeah.
I have a crooked thumb.
You're hitting the leading edge of the prop instead of the trailing edge of the really the flat blade.
And so you got to be really careful with that configuration right there, because that one will reach up and send your ass to the emergency room.
Yes, it will. Well, let me get out of here. I've taken enough time. I appreciate it. I'm going to stop sharing right now.
Yeah,
There we
sorry
go.
I couldn't see it. Now,
Yeah, I am too.
I can see you.
Yeah, I'm here now.
That's going to be an interesting one.
It's different, isn't it, Dennis? You notice it has no vertical stabilizer?
Yeah, it's just the wing.
Yeah,
should be fine.
Truly a flying wing.
Yeah. I mean, combat planes stunt just fine.
They do, but they're going a lot faster. But then again, this one might be going a lot faster.
That one's probably going to have to go pretty fast to stunt.
Yeah.
Now mine's electric, but I've got a real high kV motor in it, and a little bitty prop. I run a 6.4 APC, and I have some quadcopter, like I forget what they are. I think they're 100 Cs batteries, so they really crank out, and this thing turns some RPM. It almost sounds like a rocket just flying around before you actually shoot the rocket.
Well,
yeah,
shoots.
What's that?
Well, this is what's been keeping me busy and away from doing any of my building is working on the first iteration of my work on that. I wound up, I had an airfoil that was way out of, I like to try to keep my airfoil within a pencil line width, you know, what the regular is. And this one, when I I thought I had it. I took out measures, and so I got going on it, and then I looked, realized I copied the root airfoil and took a DXF over and put it into the drawing, and I says, "Whoa, wait a minute, this is." So I had to go back and redo the airfoil, move the high point and a couple other things around and that, and then finally got it to where I thought I had it right, and so then I started going on it, got about the same place where I had the first one, and then I realized that there was another problem in that I hadn't made the wing panel long enough, so I had to go back, redo the wing, get the wing panel long enough so that it would match the drawing, and so it's finally going along pretty well. I think I've gone past my major error. It's been a while since I had to go into that much detail on putting a design into CAD. But this isn't unusual, so you're kind of walking in muddy waters.
Phil, did you ask me, did I actually shoot a rocket with this thing?
Did you?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I was wondering if you did.
Check out the business end of this thing.
You're kidding.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
So there's a rocket. It's a C motor is all that goes in here. And then these, the Germans were experimenting with rocket assisted takeoff with a bunch of different airplanes. And so to simulate that, when this airplane, this is a fun scale, so it's supposed to be kind of, you got to fly it like the real one. So these are little smoke sticks, and I have these little covers that go over them when you're doing static, and when it comes time to actually fly, there's a little hole gets drilled in here, and you put a real good igniter in there. And I have a separate little box that's made up like a little one of those electric start carts, on the wheels. Yeah. And we hook these up first. I have an arming system so that these actually are you tape the leads up here, and then you clip them on the rocket igniter, and then I just use the transmitter, because the wheels fall off. So when we start, we light these smoke sticks, and they're white. And so this thing will be on the ground, and sometimes I'll even take a speaker and I'll play, Valkyrie and Fly
to the Valkyrie.
Yep. And you start these up, and these things start smoking like crazy on the ground. You got to be careful. I used to use some that were twice as long, but I'd land and the things would be down there and they're still smoking, and I don't want to catch the grass on fire or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, once it gets smoked up real good, then you're ready for takeoff, and then this is the real bad little motor in here, the high kV motor, and then the battery. It's kind of a cram job in there, how everything goes. Wow. But then normally I just take off on the motor, and then I fly a couple laps, like it's building up speed. Because I have a throttle, I can just slowly build up speed in this motor. And then once it's really hauling ass, then as I come around the judge, I announce my first maneuver, which is a wing over. And I'll shoot this rocket. There's about a 1 second delay, something like that. And I'll just pull this thing straight up, right over the top of the circle in a big loop. So I got second at the Nats with it. And I probably would have won if I knew what the hell I was doing. Well, it's a little different. I won a couple of fun scale meets, Brodac and stuff like that. But you know, they just kind of have their own little loosey-goosey rules. And when you go to the Nats, I didn't realize that, you know, they
over.
use
Get serious now.
Yeah, well, they use the regular scale. And so, you know, when you do level flight, you're supposed to get up at, you know, your level flight, and you set your motor at one speed, and you got to fly a few laps. Well, I didn't know that. So I'm up there, man, I'm just having a blast. I was cutting it down, you know, lowering the throttle, speeding it up, hauling ass. So, you know, I did a few things to shoot myself in the foot.
Yeah. You know,
but
that plane only had 2 speeds. That plane only had 2 speeds, wide open going up and then glide back down through the.
Yep. When it comes time for landing, I get up pretty high. It's not like stunt where, you know, but I get it up real high, and then I cut the throttle and glide it back down. And it belly skid. So everybody loved it at the Nats, but you know, when I first walked up to get it weighed, all they wanted to do was disqualify me. You can't have rockets in your plane. I'm like, you guys need to read the rules, because you can't shoot rockets from your plane, but you can have as many rockets mounted on your plane as you'd like. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, there was a guy with a C-130 that did a JATO takeoff. I saw that.
Steve. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Hey.
And he really did a JATO takeoff. All 6. He only had 6 instead of 8, but he had 6 little bitty rockets. And it started rolling. It might have rolled 2 feet, and then he fired the thing. It was up to 10 feet, and they didn't last 2 seconds. But it really lifted that thing off the ground. Yeah.
But they smoked for a little while, so that's good.
Yeah.
After they light the airplane on fire, they smoke for a little while.
Yeah,
huh?
It's good. Let's put a rocket in a foam airplane.
Yeah, what can go wrong?
When the rocket fires, it's supposed to bring the parachute out. Where does all that energy go?
I have to modify those motors and plug the end. Believe me, I can hold it up there, and I'll show you all these little black specks where I learned that. It blew that ejection charge right back inside the fuselage, and it just burned the crap out of the foam. You know, little black specks of flaming hot stuff.
All of a sudden, the fuselage went from 2.5 inches wide to 4 inches wide, huh?
Yeah, just about.
Like a blowfish.
Well, they were little bitty tiny things, so it didn't really hurt anything. But
you know, when those things really fired off, you know who started it? It wasn't the pilot. It was a guy with a match. They lit a fuse, and if it didn't blow up on the ground, then it went up like a rocket.
Yeah, that was one thing. That Comet was a dangerous airplane, man.
It was.
It killed way more Germans than it did Americans.
Yeah, it did. It really did.
That super Nazi Hannah Reitz, you know, she got her nose burned off, and the T-Stoff and the other fuel they used, that stuff, when they mix them together, it dissolves muscle. Yeah. You know, so it was bad. And they killed a bunch of them landing it, you know, because they'd land and they didn't have quite all the fuel out of it. And boom, you know, off she went.
Must have been kind of like that rocket there in Texas, huh? I guess all the fuel wasn't out of that thing after Elon landed it.
Oh, did it blow up?
Yeah, it sat there for like 4 or 5 minutes and then exploded.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
You know, I had a friend that flew with the 8th Air Force during World War II, and he was a P-47 pilot. But after the war was over, and he transitioned over to jets, he was with a squadron that flew the F-84s. Remember those?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he said when they fired them off, there would be a big ball of smoke and flame would shoot out the back of them because they didn't have the metering quite right on them. And he said they had people come on Sundays. They'd come out and they'd be watching them from the other side of the fence. So they got this wild idea. They had crewmen from each airplane stand back there, and they had a roll of newspaper. And when they got ready to fire them up, they'd signal these guys, and they'd get out their lighters and light this newspaper and hold it out to the edge of the exhaust, and then boom! And they had people that town. He said they all thought that's how they had to start those jets.
Oh, that's bad.
I have an interesting little story about rockets and model airplanes. I back quite a few years ago, I took the Sterling King Cobra, the RC kit that you see a picture of here. The thing was huge. I built it and converted it to control line, 3-line control line and a Merco 60 powering it. So I thought, this would be cool. Let me mount some rockets, model rockets under the wings, and the whole plan was, and I had a pretty hefty battery in it for the igniter, but the thing was so big it basically handled the weight no problem. The plan is I'd fly, take off, have throttle control, fly a couple laps. I'd go into a wing over, and then I would trigger the rockets so the rockets would shoot straight up in the air. Well, it didn't quite work out that way. It got about 2.5 laps and must have had a short. And all of a sudden, you see these two Estes rockets go screaming across Flushing-Meadow Park's, mile flying circle. I mean, it literally missed. And one guy was in the middle of the flying in an adjacent field, missed him by about 5 or 6 feet, almost took out his airplane. But I was not a very popular person over there with this airplane afterwards. That was the first model rockets on a model airplane.
Yeah, that AMA frowns on.
Yeah.
You cannot shoot projectiles.
Pete might be the reason that they outlawed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know. Hey, did you hear about that guy Peter?
I thought it was, it would be really cool, you pull into a wing over and let rockets.
Oh yeah.
It was cool until the motors fired.
Yeah, a premature lit off premature level flight.
Well, I have to admit to a no that we did at the flying field in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. We had one guy who was really kind of an outlaw, but he flew with us, and he rigged up his RC plane with 2 tubes on either side of the under the wing and on either side of the fuselage, and he had a little servo in there and a battery hooked up, so the servo he'd rotate the servo and it would make the contact, and 2 flash bulbs would go off in those tubes. Well, he had those flash bulbs right near where you could get bottle rockets in Wisconsin. I think you still can. And so he had those tubes full of bottle rockets, and all our fuses were right there by where that flash bulb went off. And he'd come in, kind of aim down the runway, and you'd see the flash up there, and all of a sudden these bottle rockets, they were all blowing up or exploding right about just barely above the grass on the field. It looked cool, but we knew he was breaking the rules.
Oh yeah,
that was cool.
But it did look cool. I gotta say that.
Well, we may end up getting a little bit of an influx because of the FAA. They're going to make every RC pilot buy this identifier.
Yep.
So they know where they are, and apparently that's not going to be cheap. And you got to have one for every airplane. So control line, of course, you don't have to worry about it. You're not a drone. You're considered a drone. You're tethered. So,
yeah.
How did that affect free flight?
Well, they, I don't know, but they don't. I don't think they make them put them in free flight.
No, they don't, because it's you're not controlling it.
Yeah, it's just free flight.
Yeah, but we're saying now that the FAA said you buy one of them GPS things, you can put it in as many airplanes as you want.
Yeah, how much those things cost, Steve? Have you heard?
They said they think by the time that they start making them, when they need to have them, in was it 3 or 4 years, that they'll be down around $20.
Oh well, that ain't bad.
No, and then if you belong to a club and you fly at the club field, you don't have to have any of that.
Yeah, because there were some people really panicking over all this stuff.
Do you remember when that kid flew? I don't know whether it was a quadcopter or an RC plane, flew it into the blimp.
Oh yeah,
To the blimp.
Yeah, they had the blimp was either over a football game or something. Anyway, the kid flew the darn thing right into the side of the blimp.
Oh, wonderful.
We almost lost the hobby over that one.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
I'm telling you, somebody's always got to see how stupid can I be today.
Well, you had that guy in New York City or whatever that was using his as a peeping Tom. He had the FPV goggles.
Forever.
Yeah. And they fly it around, and I mean, drones will be a good thing at some point, but hopefully they just don't kill us all off.
Yeah.
Have you seen the posting on Stunthangar where the guy's flying his what's an Eiger plane, the Max B, and he's filming it from a drone that is probably 30 or 40 feet higher and out at a way so he's clear of it, but he's stationary sitting there filming this guy fly, and you can actually see the mistakes and the good parts of his flight a whole lot better than you can from the stationary ground mount.
Yeah. Well, I have a nice drone. I use it for work. If I have to go to a house that doesn't have an aerial, it's a 6 motors and it's got all the GPS and the come home and all this jazz. And when I go to KOI, I usually take it with me. And before the competition starts, everybody's out there practicing, and so Wayne lets me take it over. We'll go talk to the pilot and let him know. But it has an altimeter, so I know exactly how high I am, and I'll just get it up high enough, and I can film. It's got a 360 gimbal on the camera. You got all the camera controls, and I'll just go put it and let it sit. It'll stay in one place, and you can move the camera all around. And I filmed several people flying control line stunt with that. Now I haven't. Yeah, it's pretty cool looking. But who knows where we're going with this?
Well, I'm wondering when they get this thing they're talking about. I don't remember what they called it, but I think it's what they're working with now is supposed to be telemetry. If they get that thing down that small, then we should be able to put that in the wingtip wake box. And then if they come up with a dome with sensors in it, you should be able to fly, and it'll absolutely track right where you went. But it'll make it absolute as far as, okay, you were off by 5 feet here, you were off by 2 feet here. But it'd take all the fun out of the event.
Yeah. I mean, part of what we do that's fun is it's subjective,
Yeah.
I mean,
it's all the subjective out of it.
It's it's
guesswork, really. But I don't know. It just when I read that article, I said, this don't sound right. I don't remember where they were working with it, but they asked somebody to come and fly his plane and try this I forgot what they called it. Anyway, this new thing out. He called it a puck, and he said it was a quarter of an ounce, and it was just a little tiny thing, and I think it had some kind of isotope in it. But anyway, and they tried it in this. It was like an old blimp dome, and had the fans on, so the wind was blowing in one direction, so we had plenty of wind to blow the crap away. But I just thought, all right, it'll be exact. We'll know exactly what we did to within, the way they said, about 4 inches. But do you really want to know that? I mean, seriously. I don't know. It's getting weird.
The subjective pattern, Phil, it's like you see 2 different ice skaters who are also judged subjectively. They'll both perform the same maneuver, and technically they're identical. But one of them will get a higher score because of the showmanship, the way it's presented. And
this ain't gonna do that though.
No, but the thing is that's going to take that out of the pattern if that happens, and then it'll get even more boring than it is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it'll kill it. You getting ready? Oh, he left. Darn. Well, I tell you what, it's getting weird as it is, but I think they should leave it like it is. I don't know who's working on it. It's somewhere. I don't remember if it was Slovakia or Russia or where, but somebody was working on this thing, and is going to try to make it absolute for the World Championships or something. And I read the article, and I said, I sure hope that don't catch on, because that will absolutely kill the event. Nobody wants to fly against a computer.
Yeah. If it's going to happen, it will happen, and we'll just have to learn to adapt to it.
Yeah, really. I mean, I knew when they come up with a camera system, had 4 cameras, and worked on that and showed the lines, what this person did, what this person did, and this is what's really supposed to be done. I said, well, that's going to cause problems as it is, but now this isotope in the wingtip, I don't know about this.
Yeah, the one of the problems I see with it, if you all of a sudden have to fly against the computer, I mean, how much is the software and the 4 cameras and everything else going to cost, a competitor? Because in order to figure out whether you're doing well, you can't just call over somebody that's been an expert judge or not. Now you have to have the whole setup so you can at least compare your flights while you're practicing to see if you're doing what the computer expects you to do.
Well, that's my point, Peter. You're going to have to actually be perfect, and nobody's going to be able to afford to do that. It's hard enough. I mean, I take cones and those I don't know what to call them, the things that show 4 feet, and the cones, and set them up where we know, okay, this, you go up over here and you come down right on that cone, you want to cross 90. And now you want to do we set up 4 cones, okay, 4 big cones, and the one that's at the downwind, or supposed to be downwind, has a white ring on it. That's what I've got now, is a white ring around it. Then I've got 2 smaller cones that go out 45 degrees out from that cone. So on your figure 8s, your intersection should be right over that cone, and you come over and it should come out to that little small cone, and that'll take up 90 degrees. So that's your parameters. And then you got those flag things that stand up, and they show you where 4 feet is. And if you can keep all this stuff straight in your head while you keep that airplane out of the dirt or asphalt, you can pretty well figure out what you're doing. I mean, how big everything is to be made and everything. But I tell you what, everybody talks about they need to practice more. I got to read one of Tom Dixon's articles, and I thought Tom had lost his cookies. And I got thinking about it. If you sit home and practice and just stand in the doorway and look up and learn where 90 degrees really is, then you practice, figure out where that doorway, if you're lucky enough to have a double doorway, at least for me I'm 6'4", the corner of that double doorway is 45 degrees. So if you just practice going through that, and I know you look goofy, and I'm between a picture window in the front and a big one, the bay one in the back. So I know all my neighbors think I've lost my mind. But you sit and practice that. When you go to the field, if you'll just do what Trayan talks about and think about where it is to project the pattern out there, and then try to trace it, son of a gun, it works. Dixon's not as crazy as I thought he was. In fact, he's getting a whole lot smarter, a whole lot quicker than I ever thought he would. But
yeah,
I've known Tom a long time, and I know he's quite sharp, and he knows the pattern. But when he told me I needed to quit burning so much fuel and go home and practice, I thought, go home and practice. And then he sent me a copy of that article, and I read it. And it really works. It really makes sense. And Steve, you don't get dizzy, you don't get drunk, you don't fall down, you don't tear up anything.
You know, you missed one thing that Howard brings out to the field when he goes to fly. One additional thing. He's got like a 20-foot crappie pole. And on the top of that, he's got this thin mylar tape, about 30-some feet long. Set that out there, and you can tell which way. Even if it's just a little breeze, but you can also tell when the thermals are coming through.
I've got that too, and it's an old measuring tape. I think it's 25 feet high, and I've got the mylar on it at 5-foot intervals, coming down it, and I do use that. And when I've got it right now, Terry's got it. I haven't been able to get it back from him. The heck of it is, I put a thing in the ground so that I can set this down in. And these idiots that keep tearing up the field out there ran over the darn thing and busted it. It's just full of mud, so now I got to go out there and clean the darn thing out again. But I don't really understand why people enjoy tearing.
They say you can visualize, that and practice that way. But that damn woman keeps showing up at the field every time I start visualizing.
Hey, Phil.
Yes.
Get some half-inch rebar, sharpen ends, and drive them down flush to the ground.
We thought about that, and we tried to get the city to let us do that. Honestly, I'm talking too loud. My wife's about to go fuss at me. Anyway, we thought about putting sharp stuff down to punch tires and all that, but there's too many kids that come out there and ride bicycles.
Yeah.
During the summertime, there's people bring their kids out there with their new bicycles and just drop them off, and they run right through the circles and everything else. And you have
couldn't you put something over it?
Well, what's the point of putting a spike in the ground if you're going to put something over it? I mean, somebody step on the darn thing anyway, and you get sued. So.
Well, no, put it down flush to the ground, because they're going in there when the ground's wet.
Yeah.
And so if you
I don't know. What I'm thinking is, though, if you putting something on it and fastened it to it, if you hit it with a bike or something, it ain't going to do nothing. But you're wanting to stop a four-wheel drive or whatever.
Yeah,
they're going to whack through it, and then it's going to pop the tire.
Well, that's a good idea. I think that's probably what we need, but I don't think they're going to let us do that.
No.
We nearly lost the park. No joke. We nearly lost the park about 5 years ago. No, it's been longer than that. Probably 10 years ago, because the head of the recreation department loved to come out there in the evenings and sketch a poplar tree. A poplar tree. Anyway, he loved to sketch it. This guy landed his airplane in the top of it, and the idiot went and got a chainsaw and dropped the tree right on the control line circle. The only thing that went right about the whole deal was the plane ended up under the tree, and it just tore his airplane all to pieces. Because anybody that stupid didn't deserve to get his airplane back. I had already told him I'll bring the cherry picker down there and get it. It's not 30 feet up. So we show up with a cherry picker, and the tree's laying across the field. Like, let's get the heck out of here quick. So anyway, one of the things.
Well, that was like my old boss. He took out of sheet metal and made kind of like a witch's hat or whatever, but it was on a lesser angle. It made it real big, and then stuck his mailbox post in it. And then he got sued because the kids that kept smashing his mailbox hit the thing. It run the car up. The damn car turned over. Hey, but he caught the kids that were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then they sued him. I don't know how that all came out, but you know,
that's the same
it
kind of
flipped
thing
up
happened
underneath. He made it so it'd flip up underneath the car.
Just talking about cutting down trees, just a story for interest that doesn't have anything to do with model airplanes. So get your airplane ready, Charles. But the state of Oregon is known as the Lone Tree State.
Yeah.
And that's because the valley there through the Blue Mountains, there was this big, huge pine tree. And it's even on their flag, on their state flag.
Mm-hmm.
And some years back, somebody went in there and cut that thing down.
Oh, Lord.
So now you guys became the No Tree State?
This was, this was, you know, like 60, 70, 80 foot tall pine tree. This is no little pine.
Oh, man.
Mike seems to have a rubber job all finished. The rubber airplane, Mike, is like flying around in the background.
I saw Mike flying that.
I was just trying to beat Charles to the punch. That's all on the airplane flight. I've been listening all night. I was doing dishes and then taking phone calls, but I've been listening to you guys all night. It's been a good show so far.
We saw you doing KP.
Yeah, I was doing KP, man. I had to. But yeah, since we're on that, I finished the Sig Tiger.
Oh, it looks good.
Oh, as cute as it can be.
I did a few stripes on it. You know, I put some stripes on the wings and on the bottom side too. And you know, I got my nice little angled tissue there, and
you're becoming pretty damn good at tissue.
No AMA number on it though.
Oh
no AMA number on it. No, you know. But
you're gonna fly this at the Nats?
No, well, yeah, we're gonna fly it at the Nats, but not at the free flight Nats.
I'm just
yanking the train. We're gonna fly this at the control line Nats. But this is the last one. You know, I built 4 stick and tissue models here in the last 6 or 8 weeks, and I banged out like
that's your best one yet, though, Mike. You're getting a lot better at the tissue.
Yeah, it is. It's coming along. I've been. I joined the Gillows forum on Facebook, and there's a lot of good tips in there, and I've gotten a lot of good advice. But anyway, yeah, it's good. But time to put the rubber stuff down, and now that it's getting contest season, the rubber stuff's going away, the hand launch glider stuff's going away. We're getting Sam's Nats plane ready on the board here in the next week. We're going to build his Vector 40, his Tom Dixon Vector 40 profile. That's going to be his BOM plane. So Sam and I will be in here in the following weeks, hopefully with some progress and some updates on his Nats plane. He's got plenty of other stuff to fly for other local contests and stuff like that, but we are out of BOM models for him for the Nats, so he has to have one. So he's going to be in here putting in work on his next plane, and that's where we're at next, and also getting all our combat gear ready for the season.
You got to get your SV11 done too, don't you?
No, I got my
He's
R.
already flown it. He's already flown. Okay.
I got my R.
Mike, I got a question.
Yeah.
When you go fly, when Sam goes to fly, and Sam is 4 foot tall and he flies against a guy 6'6", how the heck does he get a cut on him? How does he get a cut on it? Because the wires, I mean, the planes are going to end up going to be 6 foot of difference.
Well, he's not 4 foot tall. He's actually he's taller than my wife right now. Man, I wish I knew the answer to exactly how he's tall, and he's sprouted 4 inches probably since last year.
But you know, still.
So is your wife over 5 foot?
Yeah, but not much.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah,
not much.
So
but and Phil, you said when he flies a 6'6" guy, there's no 6'6" guys flying combat. I mean, you said 6'6". He's most of the combat guys are 6 foot or 5'10" or whatever. I'm tall as a combat guy at 6'2".
There's that 6 foot tall girl that flies, Russian girl.
Yeah. But the gap has been closing on Sam for the last 4 years on his height with the combat guy. That's Ron Colombo's biggest gripe about flying Sam is that he's short. But every year Ron gripes a little bit less because Sam's a little bit taller. So
yeah, but see, Ron has to bring his handle down to get down to his plane if it's overhead, or bring his arm in. But Sam can't do anything.
Or Sam has to bring his handle up to do it. But that's not always the case if you're spaced a little differently.
Yeah, you can go this way.
Yeah, true.
Matter.
Okay.
The trigonometry changes. If you're even all the way, then arm length and height, then yes, you have to be just like that. And Howard can probably help me out on this because I'm not going to say it as eloquently as he can, but a height difference and arm length difference can make a difference in the trigonometry of where you need to be lined up.
Well, boy, you're sure having a lot of stuff to figure out to get a good hit.
Sam is younger and has fresh pink lungs, and he can run a lot faster than these guys, man. So he just runs around them.
Yeah, that's what Nick used to yell at Samantha all the time. He said, "God damn it, quit running." Because she was in and out, around and back, and couldn't get a cut on him because it couldn't line up.
Because you have the pilot circle for combat, right? And I think for speed, it's a 5 foot circle. It might be 6. I should know the rules exactly, but I don't. But you can be all the way to the edge of the line on the circle, or you can run back to the other edge of the line on the back of the circle. There's some dancing that can go on to keep your opponent away from your streamer, And Sam is learning all that stuff. He knows. He knows, you got to be lined up, but there's trigonometry in there too. And then there's also, if the guy's flying out here and you're flying in here, he ain't going to be able to cut you. And he knows that. So the height comes in too, Phil, for sure. It's all just a big stew of how do you get it done,
Yeah. I'm going to watch y'all with Hunters this year. It
Finally
looks like a lot
control
of fun.
chaos.
Yeah, control chaos is about right. I'm going to watch it this year. I want to see how that's done. That looks like it could be interesting. And not that I'm going to try to fly it. I have tried before. It about screwed me in the ground, but I'm getting interested in watching y'all do it. Emphasis on y'all do it.
Yeah, and listen, while we're talking about combat, I just want to bring up one other thing. I don't know if any of you guys know this guy. Howard, you might, but Greg Matchin out of California. He goes by Lights Out Sport Fishing on Facebook. That's his profile because he's a fishing charter captain. He owns a boat and he takes people out on charter fishing, and he's a commercial fisherman, but he's also a very well-known combat guy. He flies combat all over the country. He comes to the Nats. I've met him at the Nats. Sam and I have met him at the Nats. He has a young son that's Travis, is 6 or 7, that flies control line. So there was a combat contest going on in Amador County, California, started today. It is the Gold Country Combat Duel that started today with half A, and Greg Manchin had a heart attack during a half A combat match today. He was flying and had a mild heart attack and was taken to the hospital and had a stent put in. And I don't know what city this is. It's Amador County, California. The city, it doesn't say. Oh, Spiva Field in Ione, California. Howard, do you know that?
I don't know that. I know.
You don't know that? Spiva Field in Ione, California. It's the Gold Country Combat Duel. It's 3 days of combat. They were doing half A, speed limit, and fast over the weekend. Today was the first day. And Greg had a heart attack and went to the hospital and had a stent put in. But he's been posting. This happened earlier this afternoon. He's posted this evening already. I'm fine. I'm doing okay. It's all good. So
good. Good
so just let's send up some thoughts and some good wishes for Greg. Even though a lot of you don't know him, he's a fellow control line flyer, but he is a combat guy and he's a competitor. And he makes the trek from California to the Nats. I've met him 3 times in my 6 years of going to the Nats. He's an F2D guy, speed limit guy, fast guy, half A. So let's just keep him in your thoughts. He's younger than me. I know that. He's younger than me.
Don't matter.
So
we won't hold the combat guy against him.
No.
No, he's a. I think I have met him. I think I got talking to him at the Nats. We were talking fishing.
Yes.
That usually comes in the conversation when I get talking because I always wear my hook hat and all that stuff. The other fishermen will always come up and say, "You're a fisherman. What do you fish for? Whatever swims, baby."
Yeah, he's a commercial fisherman and he runs charters out of California. And his Facebook page is amazing, like the stuff that they catch and the things that they do. He's no amateur when it comes. This is his livelihood. It's like what he does for a living, Yeah. So if you guys just keep him in your thoughts and say a prayer for him, that'd be great, man.
We'll do that.
Yeah, we'll do.
And like I said, he's got a little kid, 7. His little boy Travis, who's been learning to fly the last 2-3 years. So
yeah.
Very
cool.
We need to do what we can.
I'll tell the local guys.
Let me give a shout out. Hi, Ed, and hey, Sparky. Thanks for coming in, you guys, and thanks for coming in, Steve and Tom.
Sparky's down there. How about that?
Is that
Sparky?
I see Dan Winship over there.
Yeah.
See what I got today?
Oh, that's Gary?
Look, that's what I got today.
Let me see what you got today. Oh, wow. That looks good.
Stunt
In
Hangar
black.
shirt. Yeah.
Oh, that looks good.
How about
I'm wearing a classic one. Let me turn around.
Let me see. Very good, Gary. Let me see what John's got. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Since we're showing our shirts, I'm going to show you mine. You haven't seen mine already. So I got my shirt on. Let me click on me. I got
The doctors.
I got my oldie but goodie.
Northwest.
That is a neat one.
Yeah.
That is a neat one.
And you guys also hear about this big electric plane? I mean, it's a Rolls Royce, but it's a fast electric plane, and it's actual. You can ride it and fly it. You heard about it?
No.
No.
Yeah, it looks like one of them racers that they race. And
Oh, it'd be neat.
yeah.
You got a picture of it?
So, no, I just saw it on my phone there a couple of times as I was going through the Google stuff. You see stuff. Yeah.
So it's an electric racer plane?
Yeah, I think so. It's what it looks like.
Like a Reno racer kind of a plane?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's electric, and
Did it have twin motors?
No, it's just got one. It's got one.
So I remember seeing the one that had 2 nacelles. An experimental plane that was at the Reno area.
John Pond Racer. The Pond Racer. Yeah,
that's what it looks like.
I heard that there's some movement, either a reproduction is being made or they're rebuilding the original, the Bugatti racer.
I heard that too, but I don't know how much truth there is to it.
I would love to see that thing show up at Reno.
I would too.
That thing was what, designed in the 30s? Designed and built in the 30s?
23, wasn't it?
It was way back, but that thing was
good stuff.
I don't remember exactly, but I remember it was way back there. It raced against the plane that was the Tucker Special was modeled after.
The Schneider Cup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't it have two counter-rotating props?
It did.
I think it did, yeah. Well, John, not to change the subject, but when you talking about T-shirts, my favorite one is still my old one from Tucson. It's got Old Time Stunt. It's got the guy flying the rock.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. No, that sounds funny.
I got a question for you, Tom.
I had to bring mine down and show it to you one night.
Everybody says it has two counter-rotating props. Can you have one counter-rotating prop?
No.
No, Steve.
No, if you
can fly a rock.
You can fly a rock, yeah.
You got a real problem.
Ed Carlaw.
Yes.
Carlaw, how's the SLC working out for you? Have you got a chance to use it yet? I know you got it. I got your message.
Yeah, no, I haven't used it yet. The wing's still in construction, so.
Okay. Did I send you enough to do what you want to do with the model?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Thanks.
Perfect. You're welcome.
Sounds pretty cool. Oh, Lordy.
All right, bunch of guys. Dan, you've been sitting there quiet the whole time. What have you been doing?
I'm half asleep. I'm half asleep right now.
He's talking to Jake.
I've been sanding all day, working on Sparky's box.
Working on what?
Making a little tool caddy for Sparky.
Oh, tool caddy. I was going to say, I hope you're not building airplane parts for him, man, because then it wouldn't be BOM. We could bust his ass at the Nats, man.
Yeah, I'm just wiped out today. I'm just tired.
I was there yesterday. Yeah. I went to bed at 9 o'clock and got up at 9 o'clock this morning, so you know I was tired.
Yeah.
No, John, 9 hours, 12 hours of sleep. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm wiped out. I spent 6 hours at a dealership today buying a truck, and we'll talk about that later in the after show because I don't want Charles to have to fly his airplane. But
well, it's coming up in 4 minutes, Mike. So
yeah,
yes.
I spent 6 hours.
Let me cut in here.
At a car dealership.
We've actually had pretty good likes. We had I think we've had as high as not a lot, but like 20 viewers, and we have 17 likes. So I want to thank everybody for giving us thumbs up, but we don't have any chat revenue. Don't forget, we still have the super chats. Those are much appreciated. Of course, if you're going to watch this as a replay, you can join. I mean, you can't do the super chat, but you can join. Hit the join button, and if you subscribe, make sure you hit all the notifications so you know when I'm coming on. And Sparky, are you going to have anything special tomorrow that you want to do a preamp and just talk about it a little bit? What you're going to be doing tomorrow?
Saturday at John's.
Charles, I have a question.
Yeah.
Charles, if so, super chat. How do you can you do that through PayPal or what? Do you got to? How do we pay for a super chat? What do we
you do it through PayPal. That's the way I do it.
Yeah, you hit that big $sign at the bottom of the chat box, and I'm not sure what pops up when you do that.
PayPal.
PayPal?
Yeah. I don't see it.
At the chat box is a big $sign.
Yeah, you gotta go to YouTube.
You guys see it on YouTube, right?
Yeah. It's not up. It's not up on 8x8.
Yeah, so that's the way you can contribute and help the show, help the program. And we're going to be ending the live stream really shortly. I'm going to try to cut it off at 9 o'clock. So don't forget to get into the live party, the after party. You have to be a registered member of Stunt Hangar. So if you're watching this replay, make a note. We do this Monday and Friday evenings at 6:45 p.m. You can come in anytime, but that's when you can find access to the link to get into the after party. And sometimes the after party is better than the live stream portion. So I want to thank everybody for coming in, and we're going to end this live stream portion and go to the after party. And let's see what happens here. Stop the stream. Good night, everybody. I'll see you guys. Those who can't hang on, we'll see you.